everyone, it's Shannon here for Hero Arts. In today's video, we are going to take the dies from the Premium February My Monthly Hero kit, and I'm going to share with you how to really highlight all those details by inking the dies. I'm going to start with these Butterfly Fancy dies. Again, they are included in the Premium February My Monthly Hero kit. I'm going to grab 4 butterflies from this set, and I'm going to grab the butterfly outline die as well as the coordinating detail die. Going to arrange them together and die cut them out of some Deluxe smooth cardstock. I'm going to use a little piece of tape to hold these 2 coordinating dies together. Then I'll grab another set and then tape them together, and then I'll run them through my die cutting machine. Now obviously I've already used my wire cutters and separated all my dies in this set. If you have left your dies together, you can still do today's technique. It actually will make things maybe even a little bit easier. So here I am after I ran it through. I'm going to pull off the tape and the die to reveal these beautiful, very detailed butterfly die cuts. I'm going to repeat this process with the remaining 2 butterflies that I picked out. These are 2 smaller ones. And now we'll have our 4 butterflies ready to go for ink blending. I also want to point out that the detail die for these butterflies, a few of them have actual cuts, and you can see they create little holes in some of the butterflies. So I'm going to start with the smallest butterfly here, and I'm going to ink blend this first with Ultra Pink. We're going to kind of create a rainbow gradation, but with butterflies. So my first butterfly here in my rainbow is going to be a combo of this Ultra Pink, and then we're going to move on to Fruit Punch, which is a reactive ink. I stuck with reactive inks for the rest of the butterflies. They do blend beautifully, but I wanted to go a little brighter with my pink, so that's why I opted for that beautiful Ultra Pink. We're now moving on to our next butterfly in our Rainbow Ombre. Again, I started with some of that Fruit Punch, and now we're going to move on to Creamsicle. I'm using Hero Arts small blending brushes for these butterflies. They are a great size for this. Now I finished with Creamsicle, went back to Fruit Punch to kind of smooth out the blend a little bit, and now I'm finishing up this butterfly with Lemon Drop. And after I finish Lemon Drop, I'll go back to Creamsicle, and that will complete that large butterfly. Moving on to another one. This one's going to be a yellow-green combo. Started first with that Lemon Drop again, then I moved on to Key Lime Fizz, and now I'm going to finish up with a little bit of blue raspberry at the end of the wings. And I am ink blending very heavy-handedly with my ink here. I want these butterflies to be really bold and bright. Starting out my last butterfly first with a little bit of Pool Party, then we'll move on to Blue Hawaii, and then we'll finish up with Purple Galaxy, which is just a gorgeous, gorgeous deep purple. And once I finish ink blending that purple, I am all done with my butterflies. Now we're going to move on to highlighting those details. I have pitch black core ink here. I am going to remove the lid, grab one of my die cuts, and then grab the corresponding detail die that goes with it. Rub that die directly over the cut side over the ink pad, so the ink is getting on those raised areas of the die. Then carefully lift it up without touching those areas. If you kind of slide it off, it makes it easier to grab it, and then I'll line it up with the die cut. And since we die cut this earlier with that detail die, it just pops right in there. It's actually really easy to do. And then I will hold the 2 together, use a little piece of tape to hold them together, and place it on my plates, and then run it through my die cutting machine. And after we run it through, all that ink that's on those raised areas of the die will transfer to the cardstock and really highlight all those details, really bring all those details, make them more noticeable because of that black ink. So removing the die here, and I'll hold it up so you can see that awesome just that little bit of inking and die cutting again. It just really makes all those details pop. Now I'm going to grab another die cut that I did earlier, different butterfly, but you can really see how much more the lines on the butterfly on the left are visible because of that black ink. Now we're going to repeat this process for our remaining butterflies. Now I'm on the big one here. I'm going to rub the die over the ink pad. You don't have to press real hard, just kind of rub it over, line that die back up with the die cut, and then I use a little piece of tape to hold them together and then run it through my die cutting machine. And here we'll show this one to the camera as well. Every time I do this, I'm always so blown away by how much more interest it really adds. And I'm just going to repeat this process now for the remaining two. So after this one, we only have one more left to do. I'm obviously doing this in black ink, but it would be really fun to try this with different color inks. Maybe do almost like a tone on tone if you did like a light pink butterfly and then did the detail with darker pink. That would look really cool, I think, as well. So now I'm moving on and just coloring the bodies of the butterflies. I don't need to do this, but it just is going to incorporate my black that I'm going to have for my sentiment, just kind of bring in a little bit more black and balance out that sentiment that I'm adding later. I'm just using a fine Sharpie, but you could even use a Copic if you have that instead. Anything would work. Now I'm going to use the stencil included in the kit. This is Stencil A, so the first stencil. I did just flip the stencil over so the wrong side is facing up. You can always tell because there is a little Hero Arts logo. If you can't read it, then you probably have it upside down. And I have it kind of positioned so this assortment of butterflies is in the lower left corner, and I'm going to ink blend them with my inks that I used for the die cut, so the same inks, and I'm not even having to open up my ink pads or use any ink from my ink pads because there's a lot of residual ink left in my blending brushes, and I want to keep this light, just a light kind of pastel-y rainbow. Now I've turned my stencil back the right way, and I'm going to tape off this remaining section of butterflies here and just focus on those 5 butterflies up there and ink blend the upper portion of my A2 top folding white card base. And I am ink blending, and this card base is also made with the Deluxe smooth cardstock, which just is beautiful to blend over. Now I have one more butterfly I want to blend. I just want to blend this little teeny one here. So I've taped off or masked off essentially the other butterflies just so I have that one revealed, and I'm just going to ink blend with a little bit more of that purple galaxy. And now we have our background done. I'm going to move on to stamping my sentiment. I've grabbed one of the sentiments stamps from the included stamp set in the standard kit, positioned it over the card front. I do have my butterflies in place here just temporarily so I kind of know where that sentiment is needs to go. Picked it up with my Misty, and then I'm going to ink it up with that pitch black core ink and stamp it a couple times just so we have a nice clean crisp sentiment. Once that is done, I'm ready to position my butterflies. I have them in place here. I'm going to place a piece of press and seal over them, pick them up, and then add some foam adhesive. I'm just going to cut the foam adhesive into some thin strips and just add it to the bodies of the butterflies. I don't want to have that white kind of poke through any of the openings in the butterfly wings, so I'm just focusing on the bodies. Once I have all the butterflies have some of the foam adhesive on the back, I removed the backing on the foam adhesive, and now we're ready to flip over our press and seal and press these butterflies down. And once we get them in the right place, we can then remove that press and seal, and we have our card complete. And I'll hold up to the camera so you get a good look at our beautiful ombre butterflies with the details highlighted thanks to adding that black ink to the dies, and then that subtle pastel gradation in the background of butterflies. I love how that just kind of brings it all together. Now it's just a little bit of interest to that background. I hope you guys enjoyed today's card and video. If any questions about the products I used, please check the links out in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and hope you have a wonderful day.